You're still tuned into the morning show right here on ETV. And this morning in our African Spirituality Corner, we're joined by our African spiritual advisor, Usiam Keys, and he joins us this morning to touch on a very important topic regarding the spiritual implications of jealousy and hatred. If you have any questions, you're welcome to start sending them through. Sia is here to answer them on 072 411 6528. Welcome back.
Thank you very much for having me, Bullet.
Look, let's talk about jealousy and hatred, right? I think in our conversations, we've touched on the different energies that exist, but what are the spiritual implications of jealousy and hatred?
So, yabona umona nenzondo are very problematic. Well, not necessarily problematic. It depends on ukuthi usebenzisa liphi idlozi.
Okay.
Ngoba remember last week I said ukuthi idlozi alifani.
Yeah.
Likhona idlozi lokukhanya and then idlozi where they enjoy and thrive in the dark. The only problem with jealousy and hate is that ukuthakatha kuqala ngenhliziyo. That's why I always say to people, be careful who you tell your plans and oh, I just got a job at the morning show.
Sure.
Ungabatsheli ngisho usayine contract, abakubona ku TV. You know, before you say anything, because ukuthakatha truly begins enhlizweni. But now the spiritual implications really of jealousy and hate is if ekhaya idlozi that operates elokhanya, right, and light, kodwa wena unenhlizwe emnyama or unomona and hatred, izinto zakho ngeke zivuleke because idlozi is like, how? What you are feeding me is jealousy and hate, right? That is not what I thrive on.
Okay.
And that's why a lot of the people with jealousy and hate, they eventually begin to see ukuthi they need an outlet for land because they become overwhelmed. It's too much for them to carry, right? So then what do? Their outlet becomes ukuthakatha. That's why ukuthakatha kuqala enhlizweni. So most people, and what people don't realize is beware the friend or the family member that is not inspired by you, by your life, but rather wants your life. Ngoba sooner or later, bazobona ukuthi no man. One of two things are going to happen. If I can't catch up to Ubulela, I can slow Ubulela down.
Sure.
Kuhamba kanjani.
Kumele something.
Exactly.
Sure. So, like you were saying, you could be governed by a good ancestor, right? But inhliziyo yakho imnyama. Is there anything that you can do? Because one would say jealousy sometimes is a normal feeling. It's just what you do with that feeling that then has an effect, right? But if you're finding yourself not able to control the jealousy that you are carrying, what can you do in the spiritual sense?
Jealousy is not a normal feeling.
Okay.
You know, I saw a video the other day on TikTok and they said it's so beautiful. Jealousy is entitlement. I'm entitled to what Usiabonga has. I'm entitled to the life that Usiabonga has. I'm entitled to being on that show that he is on. That's what jealousy is, it's entitlement. So you need to ask yourself, why do you feel so entitled to that which I have, to that which I've been blessed with? Yeah, but even then, I was see how I ended up here. But you don't know that. You see. So there's nothing normal about jealousy. And that's why idlozi elikhanyayo does not reward jealousy and hatred, because it really isn't. You see, idlozi does not believe in entitlement. They don't like entitlement. Yeah, well, everything is earned.
Okay.
You see. So manje wena uma udlisa idlozi lakho umona, udlisa idlozi lakho jealous, inevitably that is also what your children are going to inherit from you. That is what they're going to see, and that is what they're going to. That's why ubona imindeni where I know yabona lapha bonke bayathakatha, bonke banenhliziyo emnyama, because all of you nincela from the same place. So inevitably umsamo becomes poison and rotten by jealousy. And yikho nje we're seeing so many families in South Africa being divided, especially when someone who's the head or unemal passes away. Because manje other family members that have been jealous, they feel entitled. Yabo. And then umdeni begins to divide when they should be uniting at that point.
Sure. I like that you were saying that, you know what, because nonke manje seningcela from the same place, you are now going to carry that out through the family, right? But is there anything then that we could do, like spiritually? Do I pray about it? Ngiyaphatha, ngicela abantu abadala ukuthi kunenzondo engiyiphethe la. I need your help in fixing it. What can I then do in a spiritual sense to rid off that jealousy that one may be carrying?
Okay, so there's two instances here. Is it as an individual? Is it as umndeni? Yabo?
Okay.
If it's as umndeni, kusho ukuthi kunomkhokha ekhaya.
Okay.
So now we need to establish ukuthi ubani owaqala lento. Who was the first one obe nenhliziyo emnyama ekhaya? And what you will find from personal experience, I'm talking about my family.
Sure.
In our history, we have found ukuthi there have been problematic ancestors, right? That we have obviously had to deal with. Okay? And as you grow and as you learn in the space, the hardest thing about African spirituality is being honest with your family history. Ukuthi la ekhaya bekunesalukwazi noma ikhehla elihlupha kanje. And a lot of people don't want to be honest with and a lot of times our families, our parents and our grandparents go to their grave with the secret ukuthi yazini uma ebenomona kanje kanje.
Sure.
And there's a reason why you see so many toxic mother-in-law, sister-in-law, father-in-law, daughter-in-law, those kind of relationships. At some point, there was one person who was jealous over the other. There was the first ancestor, owaqala lento, who poisoned umsa, nenhliziyo yakhe. And the trick is ukugeza yena and finding out. So mengothi phahla uthi ay bantu abadala, kwangathi there's a pattern I'm seeing. Like kanje kanje. Ngicela ningikhombise ukuthi ubani owaqala lento.
Okay.
You see? Because you can be very wealthy as a family. You can be very, very wealthy. But emotionally and mentally, you guys are struggling. But then as an individual, if you have you can feel what I know, I'm feeling a little jealous or hatred, what? You need to ask yourself, why do you feel so entitled? Sometimes it's not necessarily a spiritual thing, but it's a mental thing.
Sure.
Then you need to go get help. As in, why do you feel so entitled to something that somebody else has?
Sure. So if you find that, okay, it's something that exists in the family, from mother to son to daughter to now it's going to permeate all throughout the different generations, right? And there's probably maybe a son that decides, Yazini, Mina, I can't do this anymore. Is that going to affect the family in a certain way? If the family, they've decided that this is who we are. This is who we are.
So, it's difficult for the son because remember the son is a figure in Nkulu because he no longer wants to move in this particular direction. But if the whole family is like, no, we're happy moving in this direction. Also remember that toxic ancestor could be blessing that whole family. Yabo? So now you're telling us to let go of these blessings just because they come from a toxic family member or a toxic ancestor. Yabo? So that's why when it comes to families, or when I have family sessions and they say, and I ask them, where is that son? Where is that daughter? And they say, I know, lawyer, we are king. I am not quick to assume that he's the problem. Sometimes the family that's in front of me during the family session, they are the problem. And that son is actually the one that's trying to save them. Yabo? So and most of the time, inkulumo is going to come with the youngest person. Sure. Or one of the young ones.
Sure.
But I know when you don't understand these things.
I was loot.
Sad reality is that what usually happens is and he gets kicked out of the family. Most of the time, that's what happens. Because you're trying to break something
that they don't want to break.
They don't want to break.
So what happens then in an instance where someone marries into a family like that? Does that then affect the person that has come in with the good energy that, doesn't believe in the jealousy and hatred, that's, good spirited? What kind of family dynamic will exist in a space like that?
So this is very tough because most of the time, and this is why spiritual diversity and genetic diversity is important.
Okay.
Ngoba you're in this mess. So we need someone from the outside also and see things objectively. So bayangenisa ubulela kamkhizi ubulela uyabona ukuthi ayi no man kukhona okushaya amanzi konke off la. Right? Sure. So uyakhuluma manje ubulela but no nansi kunenkinga la. Manje ubulela's husband is not supportive. He doesn't stand by.
Stands by the family.
Stands by the family. You see, kanti ababoni ukuthi ubulela ungene la ekhaya uklina umsamo. Bakhona omakoti abafika ekhaya emzini uklina
clean
umuzi.
umsamo.
But we don't see that. What do we do? When umakoti thula awazi lutho. Uyingane la ekhaya, thula makoti. Do you see what I'm saying? So sometimes we don't realize that the spiritual liberation is through umakoti, but siyamthulisa because no, wena ugane la ekhaya, uyingane la ekhaya. Yabo? So it's difficult to navigate, and you're like, okay, but this is your family, right? And that my heart goes out to women that are in that situation. In that situation, your job is not to save the family. Your job is to wethula inkulumo. Banikeza inkulumo. That's it.
And if they don't take it?
Then that's asi department yakho.
Mara
Asi department
sowushadile.
yakho. Asi department yakho. Wena banikeza inkulumo. Right?
Okay.
Ibona that are meant to go emsamo balungisa izinto. If bona they are no longer looking to do that, then my other half of my clients are people that are abafana like ubulele, where you and your husband will come to me and say, Siyabonga, this is what I've given the family the information, but abafuni ukulungisa izinto.
Sure.
Then saying ngiyakutshela ukuthi okay fine, asenze kanjena ke, so that when you and your husband and your kids are no longer part of that, in the sense that nizoba right. Then when ngizokutshela ukuthi uphahle uthini emsamo, abantu abadala sengibatshelile ukuthi no kunje. Then bazophahla ukuthi okay fine, wena ke enza kanjena to distance yourself from that spiritually, so that the implications don't follow your children.
When we get back, I want us to talk about a situation where now this family is fed up of the wife, right? And they then decide ukuthakatha, ukumthulisa, or do things to her just to keep her quiet. But we'll get back into that when we come from the break. We've got Usia Mkize joining us in studio today. We're talking about the spiritual implications of jealousy and hatred. If you have any questions for Sia, you're welcome to send them through on 072-411-6528. Let's take a break. We'll be back after this. Welcome back to the morning show right here on ETV. Usia Mkize joins us in the studio. We're talking about hatred and jealousy. Do you have any questions? You're welcome to start sending them through on 072-411-6528. Now, Sia, we were talking about a scenario where a family is just, thriving on their jealousy and their hatred. And then there's a woman that comes and marries into that family, good-spirited. She's now sent to somewhat cleanse umsamo, right? But then in their refusal to actually listen and heed the call that they have been, given, does that then lead to them deciding ukuthi bazomthakatha, the wife or the wife's family?
You see, that's why I'm saying your job is just to banikeza inkulumo.
Okay.
Once subanikeza inkulumo and they have decided to not take it any further, right? Tool. Just keep quiet. Because yes, it can lead to that. When you become a victim to lokuganga kwabo, because you're disturbing things for them. Yabo. So manje kungcono ukuthi wena just give the message. Your only job is to pass on the message. You're not there to save anybody. Sure. Right? You are there to pass on the message. You're a vessel for a message.
Sure.
Mawusubatshelile ukuthi no na inkulumo efika kumina. Okay? Then it's up to them to deal with it. Yes, in the process, will you win over some family members? Of course, you will. Aunt and uncle.
So you must still stick through the process?
No, in terms of, because remember, you'll be the one, maybe you have the confidence to say something that they've also felt.
Okay.
So that's why I'm saying there will be some family members that are on your side but are too afraid to speak up and do anything.
Sure.
Yeah, well, in that process, bazobe bekhona.
Okay.
But does that mean, and that's how families end up divided. That's how you have some families where maybe there was 6 of them at home, the 3 went left and the other 3 broke away. That's how some families are divided. But at the same time, that's how what people need to understand is if Idlozi wants to move in a particular direction, then Idlozi lizophuma ekhaya lingena khona. In other words, Tina, our homestead is in Mlembo, KZN, right? In Maritzburg. That's where our homestead is. Tina su 4 ekhaya. For instance, if Ubaba passes away and 2 of my siblings decided what I know, sesoganga manje. The other, myself and the other one decided what Jazin. This is not how we were brought up. This is not how we would like to do things. So we divide ourselves. But we say, fine, you can keep Iplaza, you can keep Ikai. Tina will build our own separate one. What happens most of the time is Idlozi lizophuma lapho
And
lihambe
move to-
nathi.
Okay.
Then lowa muzi just falls apart on its own.
Sure.
So people need to understand, that, there's many people that are probably going to be watching this thinking that in one of two positions. They're either the perpetrators or the victims.
Or the
right?
Yeah, yo.
One of the two. So if you are a perpetrator or you are seeing umuzi wasekhaya falling apart, you might be in the home where idlozi no longer resides. And if idlozi no longer resides, manishisa impepho, niphahle or anything, niphahlela kubani? Nihlabela bani? Exactly. You're not doing anything ngoba awukwazi ukwenza umsebenzi where idlozi does not reside.
Yeah.
If idlozi alikho, right? Nenzani exactly. Yabo? And if you are the descendant of such people, then you need to find a way to break yourself away from spiritually from that history.
Yeah. We've got some voice notes. Let's roll them.
Sanibonani ekuseni ku morning live show. Siyabonga kakhulu ngoba busiya bengicela ukubuza ukukhabazela ukuthi mangabe ekhaya kuukuthi lo muntu lo okuyena onishisela impepho sokuyena osela onishisela impepho kuye onomona ubona benomona noma kumele alungise into zenu ubona ukuthi uyidileya ngenxa yenhliziyo yakhe embi enomona kumele kwenziwe njani kubuhlungu ngiyacela kubaba usiya i-guidance please.
So what does she do?
Yeah, so a very difficult one because ekhaya, and I've said it before, there's always usually one person who's responsible for ukushisa. But now what if that person
Is the one on the
Yabo, uthi no, ngicela ungifakele, uthi no malume ngicela ungifakele idlozi in my Sandton mansion, but yena umalume uhlala ku 4-room. Yabo. So what do you do in that situation? And in that situation, you first have to follow protocol.
Sure.
And then in the event protocol kuzokunikeza inkinga, you then have to phahla emsamo and ask idlozi permission to break protocol. So umalume's responsibility, regardless of inhliziyo yakhe, is to do everything to the best of his ability. If umalume is not fulfilling his responsibility, he's not following protocol. That gives you grounds to break protocol.
Okay.
That means mina, it's either ngikhuluma nomunye umuntu, maybe my older brother, right? If my older brother doesn't want to, or he's not brave enough to, then I'm gonna have to be the one to have the courage. What I'll do is, I've tried to follow the protocol. I've done what I'm supposed to do, but other people are not doing what they're supposed to do. So ngiyacela ninginikeze imvumo to break protocol.
Okay.
And then I would proceed and do it on my own. Or I'd find someone else. Or mhlawumbe ngithola umuntu omdala onesibongo sikaMkhize ngisebenzisa isibongo ofanayo.
Sure.
You see?
Sure.
So mhlawumbe ngithola umunye wakaMkhize oshisa impepho emzini wakhe.
Sure.
You see?
Sure.
But you need to first follow protocol. Let them be the ones to not do the right thing.
Sure.
Uthi bantu abadala ngiyabona
Senhlulekile.
senhlulekile, I tried to do the right thing, but they are not doing the right thing. Can I now break protocol?
Sure.
And then that gives you the way to break protocol.
But it's important to ask.
It's important to follow protocol first.
And then-
let them. Iqala must sit with them.
Okay.
I win.
Okay.
And then you can break away. Because inevitably they're going to do something wrong.
Sure. And then in closing, back to that married situation, if you've come in to cleanse umsamo and there's refusal, right? Then do you have permission to leave? Because then ultimately, into izele ayiseko.
You always, regardless of whether that happens or not, all women have the right to leave their marriage.
Okay.
You have the right to leave.
Okay.
I do think that the process is harder if your husband doesn't stand with you. Then it's definitely harder. Yabo? And the reason why I'm saying it's harder is because at the end of the day, your children will have his surname. Right? So uyena kumele ukuthi amenzele umsebenzi for your kids. That's why I'm saying if your husband is with you, you'll be fine. And I always say to married couples that you must choose each other before you choose the family.
Sure.
Because at the end of the day, the family dies.
Yeah,
and it's just the two
Nina.
of you. You know, I would prefer if married couples choose each other
Sure.
before choosing family.
All right.
Because you chose this person.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah.
So they must always come first. So I mean, with certain, degree, yeah, but at the end of the day, it's always better if you choose each other before you choose the family, because this is the person you're going to spend the rest of your life with.
Yeah.
Right? Because some divorce,
Yeah.
and when are you going to sleep with your family now?
Okay, I think that's where we will wrap it up. Thank you so much for joining us. That was Usia Mkize joining us right here on The Morning Show. Let's take a break. We'll be back right after this.